This conference will now be recorded.
Call the Tuesday, February 7th, 2023 meeting to order. Those of you that still don't have chairs, please stand or sit on the floor quietly. Can we get some chairs?
There's chairs.
All right, we got enough chairs. I think we've still got a few more. As far as I know, the commissioners that are here are who we're going to have. Sean Powell is in Santa Fe, and Sean's on the voice call, and I have not been able to get in touch with Matt McDonald, so I don't think that's available today. So, Lisa, would you call the roll, please?
Mike Espiritu.
Here.
Sean Powell.
Here.
Matt McDonald. John Hitchcock.
Here.
Bud Kunkel.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. First thing we need to do is approve our agenda, but we've got some corrections that need to be made. So if you would go to the second page, top of the agenda, in item, mine's printed out myself, so it may be different from yours. Item 19. And the verbiage and new server room that follows the 43,626.19. New server room should be deleted, and the word totaling should be inserted where the new server room has just been deleted. So we can take care of that. Also, item number 27, towards the bottom of the page, there isn't a May 32nd. So I'm assuming that's May 31st. Would that be correct, Jen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So those are the corrections that I have to today's agenda.
And in addition to that,
Yes.
going back to the top of the page, the access control doors, there's not a 43,626 in the material. It's 43,628. So that's a big item. Hopefully it's correct. Invoice
What item number are you talking about?
19 at the top of page 2.
Okay, so we've got that squared away. Any other corrections or additions to the agenda? I'd like to hear a motion then to approve the agenda as corrected for today.
So moved.
Second? Second. Moved and seconded. John Hitchcock, Mike Espiritu. All those in favor signify so by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, approval of minutes, and we need to go back to, Lisa, should I start with the December 6th minutes?
Yes, please.
Okay. This is not on your agenda, but for whatever reason, the approval of the agenda for the December 6th meeting did not occur, nor did the approval of the minutes occur, even though they're written in our minutes as being approved. So, under approval of the agenda for Tuesday, December the 6th, 2022, I would like to have a motion to approve that agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second? Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor of approving the agenda of the December 6, 2022 meeting signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Hang on just 1 second. Hello, Matt. So Matt, are you going to call into the meeting today? Okay. Okay. All right, just wanted to check. Thank you. Okay, so Don McDonald.
For the record, I'm also going to change where it says the agenda. It shows December 6th. It should actually be, the agenda was for January 10th, 2023. So that is going to change too.
So do we have to go back and redo that?
No, sir.
Okay. Going back then to January 10,
For the last meeting.
okay. Lisa, let me make sure I understand.
Yes, sir.
So under the approval of the minutes, where it says December 6th, 2022,
Yes, sir.
we still need to get those
Approved. Yes, there was no motion at the January 10th meeting to approve those.
Okay. So when we go to approval of minutes for December the 6th, 2022 meeting, the chair would entertain a motion to approve those minutes as presented. Do I hear first? A motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, you said the January 6th meeting?
Yes. Even though it's in the minutes. Okay. In your minutes of the meeting, it says January the 6th, 2022, under approval of minutes.
Can I clarify? Maybe it'll help a little bit. At the last meeting, January 10th, you guys didn't actually carry out any motions for the approval of the minutes. So for the record, we need to go back and approve the minutes from December because they weren't done in January.
We did that for the agenda. We haven't done it for the minutes. So the chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the January 6th, 2022 minutes.
December 6th.
I'm sorry, December 6th,
2022. December. Okay, so in January 10th, you guys held a meeting and you guys did not actually vote on the minutes from December's meeting. So we're going back to that. We just need to approve those. We need to approve those minutes from December.
Okay, so moved.
Thank you.
Second?
Motion's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the December 6th, 2022 meeting. All those in favor signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. All right, Lisa, I think we're caught up on that.
Yes.
So now we're going to approval of the minutes for the January 10, 2023 regular meeting. You've had those minutes. I've got several corrections on those. But the chair would entertain a motion to approve, correct, whatever we need to do on those minutes that we have. We've already corrected the December 6th agenda and minutes that are presented on those minutes, but I've got some other corrections that we need to make. Anybody else have any corrections? Okay. Lisa, under non-action items, number 6, Jenna Landfor stated advertising. I don't know what that's supposed to say. It shouldn't be stated.
Okay.
Maybe presented advertising, Mexico True campaign.
Okay.
All right, under item 7, second sentence, you can set the branding or you can see the branding of the ticketing area. And then the third sentence in that same paragraph, and a larger one in the passengers waiting area. Okay?
Yep.
And then item number 9, has HEMA provided the airport security update? I think that's accurate. Where's our?
Yep.
still have our attorney here? Okay. Okay, those are the corrections that I have to those minutes. Are there any additional corrections or additions? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to approve those minutes from the January 10, 2023 meeting as corrected.
So moved.
Move, do I hear a second?
Second this.
Correct. As corrected.
Second.
All those in favor signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we need to approve the minutes of the special meeting that we had. And I don't have any corrections to that. So the minutes of the special meeting that we had on I know you just gave those two names.
Yes, January 25th.
Okay. Special meeting that we held on Wednesday, January the 25th at 1:30. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Moved. Second.
Second, moved and seconded. No discussion. All those in favor signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Chairman,
Yes.
I have a request.
Yes.
We've never, as long as I've been on this commission, seen a distribution of the corrected minutes. Could you please ask that be done in the future?
We can do that. Thank you. Okay. Lisa, I think we're through with the all the approvals and minutes corrections. So as far as you know, we're all caught up on where we need to be.
Yes.
All right. Because Jennifer has to leave us shortly. Jennifer, I'd like you to begin with the operations report, item number 6.
What we have here is the 2022 passenger boardings. Total for the year, 56,527. Airport operations for 2022 is 27,643 for a total. You wanted, several months ago, I brought up about the Hammerhead having some damage. I am going, presenting to you today, as well as to legal and finance, reallocation of funds from a project that was not going to be done in order to get this project completed. I'm not certain at this moment whether I can get it completed prior to our FAA inspection because of all the activity we're going to have there with the Navy. But I believe with having my plan in place, I will get an extension from the FAA. Because I do not want to try to close the runway if I don't have to.
Any other questions on the Hammerhead repair issue? And the funding on that?
It was coming from a HVAC unit that was approved for Sidney Gutierrez, and they went ahead and purchased that piece of equipment.
Okay. Any other questions of Jennifer on the Hammerhead repair area? Go ahead, Jennifer.
The next one is the airfield lighting repairs. That's from, it's on Alfred all the way to Dean Baldwin. That has been out probably now, probably 10, 12, 11 months. J&G has the purchase order. They have the cans on order. Spoke to him yesterday, so as soon as the cans come in, he will give me a call and we'll get that scheduled, but that shouldn't probably take more than a few days to get it done.
So funding is available. for
That is already done, yes, sir.
And both of those items, Mr. Spiritu, were items that we didn't adequately address previously. So, all right. Any questions of Jennifer on the lighting? Item number 8. All right, Jennifer, go ahead.
The update on the passenger parking project, phase 1, that is, will be hopefully approved this council, at Thursday night's council meeting. We're hoping to maybe start that project in April. I was just talking to the engineers. I think it would be best to start area 4 first, which will mean demoing that building 650, which is already been taken care of with a PO as well. And then, because the other part of that is we need to get it off the asset list, that's also on council's agenda for Thursday night.
Okay.
That'll give these folks around here, not just the employee parking, but these that are parking on this side of the park, an area to move over to. And then we'll hit this area here, and we start our next project.
Okay, if Jennifer, if you wouldn't mind, based on what you know of the sequencing of this project, inform everybody, if you would please, and I'll invite to listen up, inform everybody about the sequencing for how the new parking areas are going to be developed. After we got the buildings in.
After the building is demolished, the plans do show that they have covered, but we do not have covered in this project because of cost. So there'll just be an open parking. There is no lighting in this project. It was not approved. So we're gonna get that parking lot constructed. And then everybody, we're gonna try to divert everybody over that area so they have a spot to park. There's no parking other than on dirt if we don't do that.
Okay, so the actual sequence of the project, after we get the building demolished and they're ready to start dirt work on the parking lots, what is the sequence of events for that?
Well, what we'll do is, that's area 4, that parking lot Jennifer's been talking about.
Okay, so that's the parking lot that's south of the existing new parking area. West, okay?
West.
All right,
That'll be constructed first. We'll leave all the other parking alone. That's kind of independent, so we'll get that. Jennifer has asked us, and we'll get with the contractor. We'll get that portion built first. That way we can move the people that park in this area west, directly west is area parking 1. So the one directly west of the terminal, then we'll move over to there to get that built. We can get both those parkings in order. And then our last part is we have to refinish and repaint the part over here right in front of the just directly north of the terminal, is reseal and recoat that and repaint that, and we have some different kind of markings and to give better circulation through that parking. So once these are built, then we'll move to this and refinish that. The existing parking.
So the sequence of actually constructing the new parking areas should allow for employees to move vehicles around and not inconvenience either flying passengers or employees any more than we have to.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, and so will each lot be built like the West southerly lot, will they all be built at one time? Or how is the construction?
No, we'll
Those
probably
two
build number 4 first, that phase, the one, what, I guess it would be northwest.
Okay,
Build that, get that completely done. That way the people that park right over here on the west side can move over there. Then we'll build this, get that completely done, and then move into refinishing the existing park.
okay. Mr. Hitchcock?
Two questions. Help us understand why lighting wasn't considered. And second, could we at least vary the wiring to add lighting later? For some reason, we can't do it now.
Yeah. We do have conduit in this plan for future lighting. The reason why lighting, one of the reasons was we were trying to get covered parking to go that was designed to support a solar system that your previous airport manager was looking into. So at that point, there would probably be lighting under the covered parking area. But since the covered parking was way over budget, but we do have conduit that we're going to set in the ground right now for future lighting or any other type of electrical or communication.
So future lighting would be similar to existing lighting in the new parking areas?
Correct.
Okay,
And Jennifer's asked us on the next design, the next phase, to include that.
okay. Does that answer your questions, Mr. Hitchcock? Good. All right. Any other questions on that item on the parking lots? Okay, Jennifer, the next item is item number 10.
Strategic plan, the RFP is being opened at 2:00. What I know as of right now, we had one turn in this morning. I'm not sure if anything else came in this afternoon. And as soon as I'm done here, I'm gonna go down and pick them up. I will need a committee of at least 3 people to evaluate the criteria of the proposals.
So those 3 people need to come from the commission.
Doesn't have to all be commission, just need you to select who you'd like to evaluate, and I'll be one of them as well.
Okay. I'll coordinate that later.
Okay.
I sure think if Dr. Powell has the time, he'd be a great person to participate if he is able.
I am awake, and I heard my name being volunteered. I'm sorry, Mr. Hitchcock. What was
I'm
it?
volunteering you, sir.
Yes, I appreciate your confidence in that capability. Yes, sir.
So, Sean, do you want me to put you on the list?
Sure.
Okay, so there's one. All right. Okay, Mr. Attorney,
Any announcements?
Yeah.
I'll be back.
you're out of here, Jennifer?
Yes, sir, I'm gonna go pick them up, you'll
Thank
probably
you.
be meeting when I get back.
Jennifer, how many bidders bid on the strategic plan? How many?
So far, we've only had one proposal turned in, as of this morning. Not sure if anything else came in this afternoon.
Thank you.
All right, Hess, item number 11.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Security update is short. We slowed down for a little bit because we needed to figure out whether we needed to do an additional procurement for engineering services regarding the aspects of what the faith group is doing for us. After talking with some outside ethics references to make sure I was doing it correctly, we've determined that that actually falls under a procurement exception, so we don't have to worry about that. We're trucking along now more quickly than we were 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Otherwise, there's nothing I can really discuss in a public meeting.
All right, any other questions? Mr. Hitchcock?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just curious, there are some agenda items to begin, I guess, committing funds or recommending funds be spent for upgrades, I guess recommended by the FAA or TSA. Is it wise to do those before there's a written agreement? To be sure they're not going to be adding on things after we start spending money, or
How do you recommend that?
So, I prefer to answer that in closed session, if that would be all right. If that's okay. We can do it at the end of the meeting. I can give you a more complete answer as to why that's okay.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Chairman, I do have a question that would probably want to talk about in the closed session. So we're pertaining to that same area.
Same area, okay. All right, we can do that at the end of the meeting then. Burlington Northern update item number 12.
Oh, I got some more good news. It's my month. Actually, Burlington Northern, you guys will have a contract for next month. They just didn't get back to me accepting our insurance in time for publication of the agenda. So
Excellent.
there's some things I want you guys to consider when voting on, but there'll be a little bit of a write-up, so you guys will see what those are. Otherwise, I've negotiated what I can with them. We're ready to go.
All right, they're satisfied with the environmental issues.
Well, they want us to, they want us to indemnify them for anti-environmental laws, and there's a list of them. The one in particular they named is CERCLA, which, for those of you who are familiar, that's super fun. The problem is that for 1.5 miles of track, I'm not exactly sure how we're possibly going to get Superfund liability and not know about it already. So in particular environmental law, I'm not worried. Now there's a whole host of other laws that I'll give you guys some more background about what they are and discuss. But they are very insistent that we indemnify for those laws. This would not be indemnifying them for their negligence, but if something were to pop up.
And we'll discuss that at the next meeting. All right.
That would have
It'd go to legal counsel.
And that doesn't have to be in closed session next meeting? Okay.
Well, so we can close the session too because it's a contract negotiation. But I think there's nothing in there that's proprietary.
Okay.
These are things that ought to be discussed publicly.
All right, we can just, whenever we're ready to do that, just work that out with Jenna or Jennifer for the agenda. Okay, waterline infrastructure update item number 13. I ended up talking to Lewis earlier today. The project is still on schedule to be completed by March 31st and within budget. And I see the engineers shaking their heads back there. So I'm sure that Lewis didn't feed me a line of whatever.
That is the same line then.
So we should be in good shape on getting that finished up. And you don't have any additional info on that, Armstrong? Okay. Any questions on that? All right, let's go to item number 14. Jenna, BLM update.
All right. So you'll see in the action items that we do actually have a BLM lease to get the ground lease taken care of in order for us to move to the next stage of acquiring the information for the scope of work for the two projects that you're looking to add out at the slurry, at the seat base. So that's where we are. This ground lease will be the first step of the two projects that follow. One being a metal shop to be put out there, and the other being a secondary slurry station.
Okay. Any questions of Jenna on the BLM update? All right.
Did any of them say anything about that putting that little taxiway turn on there?
They're not opposed to it, but they haven't come up with any money. I think the money that they have seated here was prior to any of those discussions.
And we just need to make sure that we can figure it out. Somewhere we can find that money from the government, and where they can load up two of those big tankers at a time. I'm sure we can make it pretty easy. We can figure that out.
Okay, item number 15, Jenna, update on terminal signage and branding. And if you haven't been observant coming into the terminal, please be observant as you leave the terminal.
So we were able to add wayfinding signs, the security office badge signs, and located the security office is instrumental in getting the tenants that are coming in for badging or their employees to expedite them from having to come here and there. Since we changed the classes and took over here anymore, it's on the other side. So that was helpful. Also, the vinyl that is on the glass downstairs, we did get corrected. There was some errors on the last wayfinding advertisement, and the ticketing counter wasn't even included on the last one. So we added that. We reduced some of the information. It is not see-through anymore, so that you can see that there's not that. If you see the panel next to it, there's a large reflection coming through. So that was very helpful. Both the police officers downstairs and the cafe have said that it has reduced questions when people are coming off the aircraft, where to go, which way to go. So I'm pleased with that. And so I don't know that we'll be adding any more wayfinding inside other than the Roswell branding where it will say baggage, ticketing, and those are in process. We met with the vendor to install those last week, and they're in fabrication. Those final brushed aluminum signs are in fabrication, and they will be installed, I anticipate, before our next meeting.
Do we need to address that one panel in the entry area where they come in from the aircraft of what we're going to put on that one wall?
As of right now, Juanita and I have started working on finding the money for that.
Okay.
So we're working together to get that PO in place, and then the artwork will start to be presented as the PO after the PO is in place.
And just so the commission knows, Juanita, would you like to explain to the commission what we're thinking about we want to put there?
Sure. It's a selfie station that has a UFO with an alien. The last art, and I don't know if you liked it or not, but it's an air traffic controller that is an alien directing them to be sucked up by the UFO, which ties into the branding that's on the bus that supports Fly Roswell. And so if y'all don't like that, we can go back to the drawing board and find something different.
So if anybody in the public or anyone on the commission have some ideas on that, the thought process, which magically appeared a couple months ago, was we don't have anything like that for people that come in off the aircraft, and it would be an appropriate thing to have something like that right there as soon as they come into the terminal. And that would cover that entire east wall and that seating area there. So that's a step forward. So thank you, Juanita, for working on that. Okay, any other questions or comments on item number 15, terminal signage and branding, and any updating? Okay, Jenna, let's go to item number 16.
Okay, so you can go to the next slide. So I wanted to start with building 1081. This is a vacant building that is very large in office space. We did go out this last week. We ordered a roll-off to be placed out there, and the airport operations crew has started removing any stains, terrible ceiling tiles, anything that was fallen. There was a room that had a raised floor, faux floor, for the telecommunications that were there for the telecenter at one point. So they have started taking anything out of there that is just erroneous extra things that don't need to be there anymore, additional items. So they're working on getting it cleaned. Then we will blow out the back area. AirCell was in there for a while, and they did a good job when they left. So the back area becomes very clean. So not much to do back there. And we did have a fire suppression head go bad about 2 weeks ago. So we had to get the fire department out to shut the fire suppression valve off. So we'll have a head we need to replace, and then we'll be able to get the fire suppression system tested and back up and running. But the main thing is just getting it cleaned and picture ready. Cisco and I from the EDC have walked through the building, and he has been working on sheets. Him and I together, he has these layout plans, so he's able to market them appropriately, or anybody he finds that's interested in that project. So that's where we're at with that building. Truthfully, it's going to have to be the right client to go in there with the amount of office space that's in there.
So approximately how big is that building? Any ideas?
I don't know if it's 65,000 square feet. I don't know that off the top of my head.
but a big building.
It's a big building.
Okay. So let me ask another question. If, I know it needs to be cleaned up, I understand that, because then it can be shown
Yes.
more presentably.
Yes.
However, if we don't have fire retardant water system in there that's working right now, isn't that something that should be prioritized?
It has to be, when that sort of thing happens, the fire marshal comes out, he let us know, you need to get this fixed, so we have a time frame that we have to get it fixed for them. So Omar and I have been working on getting a bid for that, so we will get that taken care of. The other thing, I believe there has not been an accurate assessment of the heating and air conditioning in there. Part of the building works, heating wise. The east side is not operating fully. I don't know that the system is broken, it just isn't as efficient. So I think the next step for me on that building would be the evaluation of the HVAC.
So what, explain to the commission and the people that are here what we're trying to accomplish by doing this.
The main objective of assessing and understanding what it's going to take to get the buildings up and running is to determine whether we want to market it as is. Do we want to put capital improvements in it to improve the options of people that are interested? Some people will come in, some investors will come in and negotiate to pay lesser rent as will, but then wind up putting those improvements in for us. That's where that building has been sitting for quite some time. I can probably answer this more than me, but I don't know how much interest we get in the building as is. I have myself not had anybody ever call since I've been here a year.
Okay. So, and this is one of the 3 larger buildings that we've got that are unleased out here.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions for Jenna on building 1081?
Mr. Chairman, can I ask just a couple questions?
Go ahead.
Okay, so who was the last tenant that was actually using that full facility? You know?
Aircraft Technical Supply was the last using the west side of the building, and Esperanza was the last using the east side of the building.
Okay.
AirCell was only in the back for storage, if I recall correctly.
Right. You were talking about platforms for some type of.
There was a telecommunications company in there. It was a call center.
Right.
So they had a room with a lot of equipment that they needed the big floor in so they could get cooling up underneath their equipment.
Right. And how is the size of this facility compared to the one that the New Mexico Health Department was in?
This is probably 3 times the size of 611.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Jenna on 1081? If not, Jenna, go ahead and let's go to the next building.
Okay, Building 93 is out off of Hobson on the intersection of Hobson and Earl Cummings. In the time that I've been here, we've put a new TPO roof on the building. We have cleared all the landscaping, so this is an older picture from Google Earth, but the trees have been cleared so that we can easily get out there and mow and keep it kept. And then we also have cleaned the entire interior. We had some carpeting that was in the office area that was removed, so it can be put back by whomever comes in. It was in bad condition, and we have the fire suppression system is up and running, and we've cared for that as a vacant building to make sure that we don't have any issues going on with that. What's left to do is HVAC needs to be put back into the office area. It was not functioning when we replaced the roof, so we chose to cap it and wait till we knew where we were going with this building. And then the flooring in the office areas, like I just mentioned, have been removed. The warehouse has overhead heat, radiant heat, 2 heats, and then, but it does not have air conditioning at the time. So I know that'll be something that probably a tenant in manufacturing is going to want to consider putting an AC in. And then we feel that the exterior of the building needs to be painted.
That's a metal exterior?
Yes.
And do you have any idea how big that building is?
That was 20,000 square feet.
Okay. All right, any other questions on building 93 for Jenna? And what kind of interest, if any, have we had on that building over the last year or so?
I had, one company come in, and discuss, a paint product that they make, and they're partially with aeronautics, but it hasn't gone any further. So that is a company that came in and they talked about a paint, that creates efficiency. So, that's for aircraft.
So this building though, even though it has some office space, it sounds to me like it's likely more functionally usable than 1081, which is mostly, I guess there's some warehouse space, but mostly office space. Is that correct? Okay. So this could be used more by somebody that's manufacturing something and they need some office space.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
36,000.
It might be, I thought it was 20, but that might just be the warehouse area.
As we update these in the future, we need at least have.
Square footage.
Yeah, that's important. Okay, next building.
This is building 1166. I put the layout there. That is the old building or Mystic building. The reason that I placed the site for the rug hanger is just to give an idea that we're putting some emphasis on this building becoming usable again for a tenant. They may have the option to use the hanger and then the building in conjunction with that rug hanger. I did give a tour last week. I can't disclose who at this point, but they are interested in talking to a company that would come in and run a public flight school out of that area. That is the second interest I've had for that same reason. One for a more regionally based flight school, the other one a little bit more national. So that seems to be a good fit for that function at this point. It seems to be easy to market that way. One thing that we don't have on the Air Center is a functioning flight school. So this would be a really good opportunity for them to be able to expand as well. Their cycle model would be that the certified flight instructors would stay after they've achieved. So a student would come in, they would earn their commercial pilot flight instructor or CFII and stay on with the company for a year, building their hours and training the next group that's coming through. So the living arrangements would be great for those flight instructors to stay and then have the it's just a continual cycle as they go out to help with the pilot shortage nationwide.
So this is the building that AVEX had that we didn't do an especially good job of wanting to keep them there. Okay, any questions of Jenna reference building 1166, the former AVEX building? All right, Jenna, any other buildings you want to discuss?
I have 112 as well, and I apologize, I didn't have enough time to get all the data that we talked about for 611,
Okay.
but I will have that prepared for our next meeting. But building 112, as you recall, we've had a mold issue in the building, and so we've removed the tenants from that building. I have Brandon that came with me or showed up today to answer questions that I can't because I'm not a complete contractor. I know a lot, but I don't know all of it. But in the packet that I handed you when you came in, there is on the top a bid for custom construction. This would be, I'm going to you to go to the second bid first. The one that looks like this.
Okay.
Is the initial bid from custom construction to remodel, remediate the building and get it ready for remodeling. So this is looking like it's going to come in at $2.9 million just to get it prepared for the remodel. That is just to take the roof off, because that's going to happen. Removing all the asbestos insulation that is in the ceiling, and then prepping, getting rid of all of the mold contaminants. contaminant that is in the building. The second step of that would be then the remodel, because we're doing a significant amount of work to the building. It does put us in a different category where we have to bring the building up to code, which would require fire suppression system, ADA compliance, and those type of things. So with that amount of money, I asked Brandon to sit down, let's talk about what are our options, what could we do differently? And he came up with a model of basically demolitioning 112 and putting 4 warehouses in place. Each of those warehouses, that's what the other bid is, would cost around $552,000. So you're going to get 4 new buildings for close to the same price of just getting this ready to remodel. And they do include one ADA multi-use bathroom, so each of the warehouses would have a bathroom in them as well for workers that needed to be out there. The tenants that we've continually had in that building have been, let's split the building, we don't need this whole amount of square footage. And so this would provide for them, multiple companies to be along that railroad track as well. And I know, Brandon, you did say this doesn't include gas piping or HVAC. So temperature control was not included in the bid for the metal buildings.
Not for the warehouse. It is an insulated building package, so we'll have standard insulation in the building package. But as far as some parts don't need to be climate controlled, some do, so it's kind of be a tenant-based issue there.
What questions does anyone have for either the contractor or for tenant on building 112?
This is outside the AOA.
Yes.
Those are 2 Air Force dock high warehouses that have been there. Those are those 2 big, really long buildings. So if you look at that aerial, you see that there's a rail spur that goes in between those that hasn't been active for 20 or 30 years. In fact, it's paved over with whatever road that is. It's right there. It's paved over. Immediately to the right of that, that's where Ergon is. That's Ergon's land, okay, that the city sold off. So that's Ergon's land now. But that rail spur is the city's. The city owns that rail spur. So what I hear you saying, and Brandon, thank you for being here today to talk to that. It doesn't sound like it's very cost effective to remediate this building if we can get it demolished and get 4 new. They wouldn't be the same kind of buildings. They'd be metal buildings, metal structure, as opposed to CNC block. But they also wouldn't be dock high.
They wouldn't.
Okay.
It would be real easy to add the loading dock on the front of them.
Okay.
So if they did dock building and stuff like that, that would be really simple to do.
But probably not usable if the rail spur was reactivated.
No, you have to have a ramp.
Right.
You have to have the rail ramps.
Okay. Mr. Hitchcock.
Is it appropriate to recommend this option to demo the existing and forward it to finance, who will determine the priorities, or to move it along?
Well, we've obviously got some information that can benefit the city. And that's what the goal was, because it was just sitting there. Nothing was happening to it. So I asked the staff to come up with some of this. And again, Brandon, thanks for helping out with that. But this, whether there's funding available to do anything right now, is not in our purview of authority. But this, in my opinion, would benefit the city if this were to occur, if there was adequate funding to make that happen. So I think your question is valid. Mr. Horn, you want to make a comment?
Well, it's clear to me
minimum to demolish these buildings, period. Whatever else that we want to do can be determined at a later date. So I think because of the mold and stuff that's in this building that I'm aware of, we need to move, we need to clear this spot off for whatever we're gonna do. And I would recommend, Mr. Chairman, that you ask Jenna to get back to custom construction and find out what it's gonna cost to knock that sucker down. Because it can't be, it's beyond any useful life.
We have a bid from Custom Construction. It was on our project list this year. I'm not sure if it made the budget. I would have to talk to Jennifer about that.
Well, we're fixing to start the budget cycle again.
Yeah.
So it's not just lead page.
No,
No, that's to build the new,
that's to build one new metal building.
Do you recall what the demo estimate
I
was?
don't, 'cause that was last year when we gave it.
it would need to
And it
be.
would be under the demo contract price that you have with the city, so. that- You have to do that first.
Well,
So in response to your comments, Mr. Korn, I agree with your assessment. However, we didn't have enough information to determine until this meeting, to determine for certain that there wasn't still useful life in that building, even though it had mold in it. So now recognizing the remediation costs, which Custom Construction has given us, that tells us for certain that it's not financially feasible to remediate that thing and reuse what's there. It's more cost effective, as you stated, to demolish it, but we didn't know that till this meeting.
I understand, I was in that building.
I just want to make
I
sure.
came to that conclusion probably 10 years ago, the last time I was in that building.
Okay.
That it needs to knock this
Well,
down. But,
You're 10 years ahead of us.
well, no, I didn't have a position where I could say anything about it, it doesn't matter. But, we're gonna start next month with our budget review, so you all, I implore you to get this on your next agenda for some kind of final request and get it to Jennifer, so when we're looking at the airport budget, we can take care of it. So I'm just telling you that to answer your question, you're right, there's no money left in this year's budget.
So, yes, Jenna, we need to get with Custom Construction, get some additional cost information, and look at demo / what can we use this site for, and provide info on how the site can be reused.
We should at least document our conclusion that after review of the quotes to rehab, it's our opinion that it should be demolished and to bring back a bid for that.
You guys will need to put that on an action item in order, you can document it, and we're gonna discuss it at the next meeting. But you can't vote on it since it wasn't on the agenda for an action item.
Unfortunately. I think the attorney's got their fingers in that stuff.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
One other little thing that's important to me, the mayor put me in charge of money, and so far he and I agree, we may not agree much longer, but, I hope that you all can take the time to look at these various projects that need to be done out here and try to rank them in some order, even if you've got 5 things as item number 1, you know, whatever you all decide, because it's helpful to me. I mean, I've lived out here at this air center most of my life, so I've got a good feel for what all the work will do. And with the leadership of the EDC, he knows who he's talking to, what their needs are, and we kind of get all this put together and headed in a very positive way.
And appreciate your comments. I think this meeting is the first time that we've had the opportunity to start addressing exactly what you said. So that was,
Keep up the
that
good
was,
work.
that was the intent of what we're doing here, and the intent of having staff do what they've done in their presentations. And we'll continue with that. However, next meeting, we need to have a little more info, so anything that needs to take a vote, so we can give direction to the mayor's money guy on stuff for priorities, we'll do that. Okay?
Mr. Chairman, I think the bigger picture is what our goal will be for next year's, this kind of 4 years. So to have to work with, especially with Ms. Brady about, because he's asking a budget question. So we're gonna have to form some type of response with our
Valid point, and I think that can be started with discussions likely between EDC, myself, and the airport staff out here. So I think that needs to be addressed between now and the next meeting. Mr. Jennings, Mayor Jennings.
Yeah, the only thing I know, if Senate Bill 104 goes through and we get some money, there'll be money, there could be as much as, right now, we're slated to get $51 million. That could be here, but that will only work on the airport proper. I don't believe it will work on facilities outside of the terminal or fenced area. So that's all the stuff that we have to work on that.
Maybe
It might free up some money though, where we can start some of this other stuff.
Maybe you can go in for a second request for stuff outside the AOA.
Well, you can put it in your will, it's okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll take care of that. Yeah, I'll take care of that. We'd like to be better off if you put it in your will. So, any other questions of Jenna then on vacant air center properties? Jenna, thank you for putting this information together.
Tea hangers.
Oh, you got more.
I'm sorry, I forgot.
I thought you
I
were
do
through.
have 2 vacant tea hangers, and I just wanted to put that out to the general aviation community. That there are space 126 and space 119-4 are both available. So I will start putting that out on aviation, local aviation sites, and working with Aflac as well.
So-
trying to recruit 2 more.
So are those spaces functionally usable?
Yes.
Doors work?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Question.
Sort of to a fashion.
Yeah. I did replace the rails this year for one of the tenants that was really struggling to get the door open. So we went ahead and did some railing replacement. And I know I've spoken to Jennifer regarding the tea hangers. They're old, but we don't have other really great options out here for smaller pilots to be in that won't be astronomical for them to rent. So going forward, this is just my opinion. It would be nice if we could spray foam the inside of the existing tea hangers and allow the rubber seals to be replaced on them to keep the dirt and birds from getting in there because they're pretty basic. The other upgrade I would recommend is taking the lights from incandescent or fluorescent LED.
So those kind of things go to the question that Mr. Espiritu just posed. And so we need to bring those into our discussion. Okay, Mr. Espiritu?
Mr. Chairman, Jenna, at one time, the airport put out an RFP or RFI, I don't know what they put out, but I think Armstrong was involved with a request for new tea hanger development. And if my memory serves me correctly, which I'm afraid it may not, so let me know if I did not screw this up.
I'll let you know.
The bids were the proposal wasn't written properly, and they didn't have any bidders for the RFP. I do We also recall that the pilots had requested a park area, but at the time, there wasn't any spaces. I think, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if we've looked at it again since then, this has been a few years ago, but this is an area that we can harvest some more revenue because we just don't have the space. We sure don't have the airfield for general aviation. We should see a whole lot more little airplanes flying around Chaves County than we do, and I think we're missing out on some opportunities. I know it's gonna cost money, but it's something we should plan for. I don't know what the interest is. I know, Mike, did you guys, I mean.
We actually did a layout. We did a whole plan for the area that Scott at the time, Mr. Stark had told us to go ahead and proceed with that. We provided him and the city staff with a layout for general aviation over by Taxiway Alpha on the 17 end over there. And it was just to separate, again, the size of an airport, we wanted to kind of start separation between the smaller GAs and the bigger aircraft, and that's what that whole plan was to begin that whole development.
If you go to the Fly Roswell webpage, under our documents that are RFIs there, you can find out all the information about that development, or that proposed plan. It can absolutely be adjusted.
So that, again, that item should go back to what we're talking about in general, that basically the mayor wants us, let's get a list and let's figure out what that list can cost us.
I was just gonna add a comment. It's unfortunately, it's not just building new T hangars, but a taxiway to support that. That's where the real bucks would be, unfortunately.
I think their design was right off of Alpha, so it's not a very
It did have a
large-
taxi lane because
Yeah.
Alpha does have RSA. You start getting to taxiway safety areas and things like that. So it starts working its way outward. And again, that layout did take into consideration the aircraft that are currently using 1735, and that's what we have to use as we start getting those safety areas cleared. So that's why it comes out slow. So you're correct. There is a little taxi lane system with aprons and the taxi lanes to the hangars.
Okay, the mayor had a question.
Yeah, speaking of vacant buildings, I don't know if this is right. I've been told that the reason that the bar is not open downstairs because they had some problem getting the liquor license transferred back from the people who had it before. Is that true, or is there any reason?
No, there's, I can happy to.
Well, it was our license. I mean, it was a city
Yeah,
license.
no, without.
You need to answer the.
I'd love to talk with you offline about that, Mayor.
Okay. All right, let's do that off. Mr. Corner, you got a question?
No, got a comment, if you got time for a little history lesson. These T hangars were at the old municipal airport. They weren't brand new then. And when the city took over this facility, they moved them out there. So they've been around on the city inventory for a long time. So they well paid for themselves, regardless of what you're doing. And the reason why they're parked where they're parked is because that was a piece of concrete. And that's the reason why that location was originally chosen. True story.
Thank you.
And the point is
I remember when they built
the reason RFP was to replace those.
and they leaked ever
It was
since.
to replace those probably existing, inadequate storage for aircraft.
Right.
It's something that I think we want to think about. The future of this air center is we build with more opportunities. A lot of these companies have their own aircraft. They're going to want to park in someplace. I've known personally of people I've met that are parking in other cities because we don't have space here.
Well, and of course, the major discussions and several pilots that are in this room have had reference cost of facilities. That prompted pilots to gain access to attorneys, to have conversations with city staff. And so it's been around the horn with that over the last couple of years. And hopefully some of those issues can be mitigated and built upon from the status of old stuff now that nobody wants to use. So I understand. Okay, then let me try once more. Do you have any other vacant buildings that you want to address at today's meeting?
No.
All right, any questions for Jenna at all on vacant buildings or what the commission's intent is in bringing these up and bringing it to everyone's attention? Okay, thank you. Ms. Jennings,
Yes, good afternoon. I'm here to kind of just give you guys
hold it down.
an update on the baggage claim, New Mexico True area. So we have what's called Rise Vision. You can see the TV screen. So far, we have given or gotten the approval from New Mexico True to utilize Alamogordo, Carlsbad, and we're waiting on 2 videos from Ruidoso. We also got approval to do what's called the New Mexico True Dark Side, which talks about night sky, camping, those kinds of things. And so those will be up there. We'll add R2, loop them into one, and so then they'll go into rotation.
Okay, just so everybody knows, this was just a thought 2 months ago. And the staff here and Juanita and her crew have put this together since December, if I remember right. And so it's something that you have captured people right there because they're waiting on those crappy doors, Mr. Mayor, to open up to put their luggage through there. And so this is a great opportunity to give passengers waiting on their luggage more information about the area. So Juanita and staff, thank you for putting all this together as you have. Any additional additions?
I don't think, not for this one.
Okay. So are you on it, Ken?
I'm on the next one.
Yeah, you are. Update on market grant to increase ridership. Go ahead.
Yes.
Item number 18.
Shouldn't say baggage, but that's okay. But it'll include baggage because what we will do is with this brand, and on the line, I have our agency that has helped put some of this information together. I'm going to let them drive with the creative that we've come up with to show you. But one of the things that we're working on, not only the marketing and branding facing outward, we also are working on the Roswell website, which is also funded through another grant, not this one that we're going to talk about today. But ideally, all of this brand effort, if you all like what you see, will then be translated over to the website. So it's one cohesive brand. You'll see some digital that is on here for our Facebook page as well. All of that creative material will change simultaneously. It's like a flip of a switch once we start our campaign. So it's like new and fresh. And so with that, I'd like to introduce, can you guys hear me, Melinda and Sam?
We can hear you. Can you all hear us?
Yes, we can hear you. So I'm going to let you guys drive and take it away. This is Melinda and Sam from our agency 3 Advertising.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having us. I'm Melinda Booker. I'm an account supervisor here at 3 Advertising, and I'll let Sam introduce himself too.
Hi, I'm Sam McClay, creative director and partner at the agency. Nice to meet everyone.
And it sounds like you all have the slides on your end so that you can follow along with us. Is that right, Juanita?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Great. So our assignment for this grant is essentially to fill the seats in the flight and to first promote the flight from Roswell to and from Phoenix, and then secondarily also promote the flight to and from Dallas. So we put together a paid media plan and also some creative concepts for review today. We've seen a lot of success in 2022 trying to target Roswell and surrounding areas to travel outside and take the trips rather than trying to get people from Dallas and Phoenix to get to Roswell. So with that same approach, we are looking at people who are visiting different travel booking sites and wanting to go to these destinations, and people who might have like family or friends there and or have already flown out of the Air Center. And we're basing this campaign in Roswell and surrounding areas as well to try to pull from other local airports such as in Hobbs, Artesia, and Carlsbad. The media mix that we're proposing start in late February and run through the end of the grant in June. And this would include digital media. So as Juanita said, it would also include some social, Facebook and Instagram. It would include streaming audio. So that's kind of like Spotify, Pandora, things that you would listen to online and hear ads in. We would also have digital banner ads that would be targeted and follow people online wherever they're browsing. And we'd also do search engine marketing for people actively searching for travel options out to either of these destinations or even further. And then we'll also have 4 different outdoor boards, actually technically 5. We have one already outside of the Peter Piper in Roswell, but we'd add another one in Roswell, one in Artesia, one in Carlsbad, and one in Hobbs. So that's the paid media, and then I'll let Sam go through the creative concepts.
Great, thanks, Melinda. So just to set up for the work you're about to see, so the goal is to get people in seats to maintain the AA's flight commitment to Roswell. And here in the new creative, you'll see we have refreshed art direction, and we hammer on the advantages of direct flights to Phoenix and DFW. And I think it's important to remind people that it's not just Phoenix and DFW you can go to, because some people may think, well, I don't want to go to those places. It's the idea that they're the gateway to other places, that you can, from there you can go to many other places. And so the feel is focused and upbeat and very direct. We just get to the point. So if you click forward, you'll see the first outdoor board comp, and it reads, is everyone there? It reads, fly local, go global. Direct flights to Phoenix and DFW. And then we have the American Airlines logo and the fly logo. And I'll go through these quickly. The next one reads, fly to Phoenix and DFW direct, connect to the world. The next one reads, identified flying objects, departing to Phoenix and DFW. And the next one reads, get there from here, fly direct to DFW and Phoenix. The next one reads, seasonal message, break away for spring break, fly direct to Phoenix and DFW. The next one, go play for summer vacay, fly direct to Phoenix and DFW. The next one for holidays, your holiday sleigh awaits, fly direct to Phoenix and DFW. The next one, give yourself a spring break, direct flights to Phoenix and DFW. The next one, now departing for holiday fun, direct flights to Phoenix and DFW. So more lines than would appear all at once, but this shows you that there are lots of options. The next one reads vacay your way, direct flights to Phoenix and DFW. And then what I'll show you next are digital display and banner ads. And this may be hard to see in the room you're in, but these are web banner ads that you see when you're browsing, and they read left to right. So these would animate. So you're seeing the first one, the second one, and the third one, and that's the entire execution of how these work. And they're reiterating the outdoor boards lines you just saw. So fly Phoenix and DFW direct, connect to the world, and then they resolve on fly direct to Phoenix and DFW with the Roswell fly logo and American Airlines logo. And then fly local, go global, fly direct to Phoenix and DFW. Break away for spring break, fly direct to Phoenix and DFW. Then on the next slide, go play for summer vacay, fly direct to Phoenix and DFW. Your holiday sleigh awaits, and then simply fly direct to Phoenix and DFW. And then a last set here, seasonal, give yourself a spring break, fly direct. Now departing for holiday fun, fly direct, and vacay your way, fly direct. So very much to the point. And then as we get into social, there's a little bit more room to work for this format. And again, as Juanita said, these would appear on the Fly Roswell Facebook page. And I'll read these to you. This one reads, identified flying objects departing daily to Phoenix and DFW, connecting to the world, book today. The next one reads, direct your attention to direct flights to Phoenix and Dallas and connecting flights to the world, book today. The next one, direct flights to the Lone Star State on American Airlines. Book your direct flight to DFW today. The next one, depart your everyday life with daily flights to Phoenix and DFW on American Airlines. Book today. The next one, direct flights to Phoenix and DFW on American Airlines, connecting flights to the world. Book today. And then seasonal, breakaway for spring break, direct flights to Phoenix and DFW, connecting flights to spring break everywhere. Go play for summer vacay, direct flights to Phoenix and DFW on American Airlines, connecting flights to the world. And this reads, your holiday sleigh awaits, direct flights to Phoenix and DFW, connecting flights to holiday celebrations everywhere. Fly direct Phoenix and DFW on American Airlines, connect to spring break anywhere. Book your adventure today. And the next one reads, give yourself a spring break, fly direct to Phoenix and DFW on American Airlines, connect to spring break anywhere. Booked today. Next one, now departing for holiday fun, fly to Phoenix and DFW on American, connecting flights to holidays everywhere. Booked today. And this last one reads, vacay your way, fly direct to Phoenix and DFW on American Airlines, connect to adventure anywhere in the world. Book today. The next component of the media is streaming audio, or basically you could think of as radio spots, but they work on the digital platforms. And this first spot is a 15-second read, and it reads, you could be in Phoenix or Dallas in the blink of an eye. Well, not a literal blink, more like a short nap on a direct flight from Roswell Air Center, or a longer nap connecting anywhere in the world. Visit flyroswell.com to book your direct flight to Phoenix or Dallas today. And then on the next slide, this is a 30-second audio script, and it reads, put your tray tables up, fasten your seatbelts, and prepare for adventure. Roswell Air Center has direct flights to Phoenix and Dallas and connecting flights to the world. So you can connect from Phoenix and Dallas to spring break in Cancun or Florida, or plan a getaway to the Big Apple, Vegas, Florida, or LA. You can also book ahead for the holidays and visit friends and family anywhere American Airlines flies. Visit flyroswell.com to book your direct flight to Phoenix or Dallas today, or book direct through American Airlines at aa.com. So I went through that quickly, but I think you can see that on this last slide, we hammer on the benefits of easy travel from Roswell, the ability to use Phoenix and DFW as a hub for other places, and then seasonal messaging when people are most likely to pay attention to travel messages. And I'll stop there.
And so you'll notice, thank you, Sam, thank you, Melinda. You'll notice on some of those, we included seasonal messaging through like the holidays, wintertime. We wanted to build that in so that it goes year long. The grant is only through the June 30th, but we do have the grant following the next year, so then it can then roll over. Do you guys have any questions?
That, it was pretty interesting. Personally, I thought some of it was a little cheesy. But it looks like we're just talking about people here going somewhere else. And so it would seem to me that if we're going to try to increase ridership, where's the other side of Phoenix? Where's the biggest population base? Southern California. Southern California needs to come to White Sands and Carlsbad Caverns and the UFO Museum. Has any thought been given, this is just my thoughts, has any thought been given to trying to let folks in Southern California know that they can get to Phoenix and then to Roswell and have all this great fun that we're saying?
I can answer that. So one, our budget is limited for that type of market in LA, San Diego area. Are participating through the New Mexico True department as part of it. We will be out in Los Angeles on the week of February 16th doing a trade show where people actually that have disposable incomes book trips to other areas, whether it's hunting in Africa, kayaking, different places, but there's thousands of people that come to these shows and then they book a trip somewhere else. We, as part of Roswell, participate with New Mexico True and have our booth covered by the state, and then we promote the Air Center, we promote everything there is to do in the the region. I would love to have advertising in the LA area. Unfortunately, our budget would not stretch very far in those markets.
And we have.
Yeah.
We advertised when we had our flight to LA, and then we did it again initially in the Phoenix market. It just takes more money than we possibly have. If we could do targeted web pop-ups to people that are UFO into that thing, or some function that could draw them here through web messaging, however that works, that would seem like that would be a less costly way to.
I remember this is just for Fly. So the target and the goal of Fly was just local. This doesn't include our other advertising that we do for like UFO Festival or overall city marketing and advertising.
It just, and I understand there's only so much money. I get that. But it's to get more people here and outside of here. We can't just keep advertising here. So I don't know whether there's a mechanism available to do something that alerts people outside of the area.
Well, I'll be asking our money man then for additional dollars next year.
Good luck with
that. I mean, that would be the only thing. We will apply for grant funding to be in the airports again. So like we were in Phoenix last year in the Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. It's just really expensive. I mean, on average, 1 month run, $20,000. So.
Okay, any other questions of Ms. Jennings?
Just a comment, I don't know if she could bring this up. There's something I've seen at the Manhattan, Kansas site that would be absolutely inexpensive for us to place on our Fly Roswell site.
Okay.
Pardon?
Oh, it's fine, Jeff.
Oh.
Trying to share the webpage up on the screen.
And all it is in the lower left-hand corner, when the page comes up, is an arrival schedule. And maybe it could be toggled to a departure schedule. So people either within the community or looking to come in can figure out the availability of our flights. And somehow they figured out how to automate that so it's constantly updated. And it could be shown visibly on a screen, or I was impressed the way they did it on the website.
Yeah.
It'd be something for you to look at.
Absolutely, and if you have any other ideas for the Fly Roswell website, we're in the process of updating that and building out those wireframes. I welcome any ideas or suggestions that you guys might have that you would like to see on there. So thank you for that.
Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Jennings? All right, Juanita, thank you, and especially thanks to you and the staff for what you're doing downstairs and in the terminal building. Thank you. Okay. Jenna, we have any other non-action items that I've missed? I think we're ready to go to new business. Regular item number 19, which we've amended.
So, this is an in-between of air staff and IT that's been working together to do some of the upgrades that have been required of us along the way. Proposed upgrades to keep us out of trouble with the TSA and recommendations going forward of immediate concern. We have put a lot of work into it. We initially had a bid or RPO put in for like $269,000. We wound up needing to put a new server room in for our current server equipment because we had easy access to it. We were able to control the area, so we had to move it into another room that was secured and locked down more or less. So we planned on initially doing a change order to this purchase order. For that, it does fall within the 10% tolerance of a change order of a PO, but we wound up finding out that the plans that we used once Faith Group came out and started drawing and understanding all of our access doors. Through their process, it's discovered that the plans that the initial quote was made from did not have the right number of access controls accounted for. So the original PO issued to J&G Electric is for $269,135.09. TSA required the existing Air Center server relocation to a new room with controlled access. The cost of the server room was not included in the initial scope of work, so a change order was anticipated for that $26,443.96. With the discovery of the additional doors that we're going to be required to have access control on, we are going to exceed the 10% threshold for the PO change without city council approval. That amount for the change of just the access doors is $43,600, and I think I have this wrong, so I want to read the correction, $628.19. So the new server room and the access doors are going to require a change or an increase in that PO of $70.15 that we're requesting or recommending that we take to finance and legal to increase that PO to cover our current demands from the agreements that we've made.
And so this action that takes place is a required action for us to meet FAA security requirements?
TSA
security requirements.
So, Mr. Chair, I would move to forward this as written and number 19 to the Finance Committee and Legal Review.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. What discussion, or is there any discussion on this? Hearing no discussion, call for a vote. All those in favor of approving item number 19 as presented?
Can I clarify that the total is $70,000 and $72.15? Lisa has actual numbers in front of her, so she corrected me.
And is the total 339,205.14? Is that correct? Let's make sure we've got the numbers correct if we're going to forward it.
So $70,070.15.
$72 because of the correction on the 43,628 instead of 626. So you're adding $2 extra.
So that rolls over into the total estimated cost?
Yes.
So it's 339,207.14?
Yes. 339,207.
15 and 9 is 24. That's two digits of both of those. 09 and 15 is 24. So it should be 339,207.24, I think.
You're correct.
Okay. So we've made those corrections. We have a first and a second on the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as corrected with the amounts, signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Oh.
For the motion is approved 4-0. Motion is approved. Okay, item number 20.
item number 20 is runway and taxiway painting. Jennifer delegated me to present since she had to be somewhere else. So this is to consider recommending approval to reallocate funds from the capital outlay infrastructure account in the amount of $25,060.17 to the M&R field for contracting highway supply to paint certain center line and taxi lead-in lines at Roswell Air Center. So we just went through a rubber removal process, getting ready for our Part 139 inspection at the end of March. And while we were doing that, we also noted that last year we had not been written up, but there had been documentation of us having appropriate reflectivity on some of the center lines. So to be cognizant of it throughout the year. When the rubber removal came up, it's noted that there are some faded areas. The lead-in lines coming in from Taxiwell Delta and Foxtrot onto runway 321 are not where they need to be. So Jennifer determined that she'd like to take some money out of an outlay infrastructure project to get the airfield ready for our inspection.
And the cost of that is $25,060.17.
Yes, and we'd be using Highway Supply as the contractor, and they are under a state purchasing agreement.
Questions of Jenna on item 20? Questions or comments? Hearing none, do I hear a motion? Mr. Stewart.
I have a question. So you're recommending reallocation of funds from capital quality outlay infrastructure. What is that infrastructure and what's the impact?
So there are some projects slated. One of them was the Sidney Gutierrez HVAC unit that we had carried over. They wound up paying for that HVAC unit themselves, so we're releasing those funds back out into our account. So we had it encumbered, we're releasing it. So that is one of the projects that she is pulled from. The other one is so remodeling that we had set for building 1000 at one point. It's been sitting 2 years without progress. The tenant that is in building 1000 doesn't anticipate in the next year that they're going to need that area. They're growing into other areas of the building. So we felt that this was a better use of the funds.
So no, to answer his question, no significant impact.
Correct.
To anything else.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions or comments to Jenna on item number 20? Hearing none, Chair would entertain a motion to approve item number 20 as presented.
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Mr. Hitchcock, Mr. Spiritu. All those in favor of item number 20 as presented signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries, vote 4-0. Okay, item number 21.
Item 21, Jennifer had talked a little bit about this in her update with the South Hammerhead. This is the current corrective action that she's come up with to be able to start the process and have documented work towards us fixing or repairing the Hammerhead before the FAA comes. So we had looked through several bids. We called on our maintenance agreement within the city. That came in at $220,363.64. Constructors is coming in at $96,722.05. And then J&H Services said they were just too busy and they couldn't even bid it right now. So that does satisfy our 3 bids that we are required to have for the Fair Act of procurement. And then we went ahead and we need to go forward with it being over $60,000 to get the appropriate approvals from City Council to spend that money for that project.
Questions for Jenna? Jenna, this is just a fail-safe to show that we're doing something pre-inspection?
We're going to do something, but this allows them to see that we have started progress.
Making some progress.
Yes, sir.
And the city bid this at 220,000,
Yes, sir.
and we had a private bid at 96.
Yes.
That seems strange. Do we know why that is? Should we ask?
You could ask.
Any other questions? Mr. Spiritu.
Mr. Chairman, same question as last, as item 20. What is the impact of the reallocation of funds from equipment versus infrastructure?
Who's not getting the new?
Yeah, who's not
No,
getting
the equipment is actually the HVAC. The equipment is the actual HVAC job. It was $101,000. So the prior one was building 1,003 modeling.
So no significant impact. Okay. The interim city manager may want to check why the city bid 200,000 plus on this, and we got a private bid at 96,000. Not that it's going to impact what we're doing, but that might be a question that's asked at Finance Committee. Just a suggestion. All right. The chair would entertain a motion to approve item number 21.
So moved.
Mr. Spiritu, second. Mr. Hitchcock. All those in favor signify so by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, item number 22.
I did hand you a packet with the leases. I apologize if those did not get to you until the meeting. I was not able to meet the deadline of getting them into the agenda. I was awaiting for responses from a couple of the tenants to get all of it put together. So this first one is for Aplight. They've sent a letter, and that is in your packet. They've asked to exercise their option to renew the lease term for the third of their 4 or 5 year term. They are coming in a little early to do that. I was surprised when I went in and I said, this isn't really due till next year, but we have some language in their lease that's regarding subletting that is not correct. So that's what the second change will be, is to amend the paragraph 22 language regarding subleasing from the tenant. Currently, it's reading, tenant shall not assign this lease in whole or in part, nor sublet all or any part of the premises. The whole model of the FBO is to be able to sublease their hangar space, and so it's accomplished for them to have that language in there. So they've requested us to change it to the tenant shall not assign this lease in whole or in part, so they can't reassign this lease in any way, but they are able to sublet their space. So the tenant agrees to continue to pay the landlord his rent sum of $193,325.76, payable in 12 monthly installments of $16,110.48. And the annum will continue to increase at 2.5% or CPI, whichever is greater. Even though this is coming in early, it really is irrelevant. The CPI language is there. It's going to continue on. It's just locking them in until 2029.
Legal's reviewed it. Move approval.
I have one question first. Is the 2.5% increase, is that consistent with what we've done recently?
It is not. We are at 3%,
yes,
but they have been in a lease with us since 2009. So their language, well, JSA was assigned to them when they came into ownership, I believe, in 2011, 2012. It was at that point set at 2.5.
So that factor can't be changed because of what we've previously done?
It's an assigned lease.
Even though current leases we're doing are at 3%?
Yes.
Okay.
So in 6 years, they'll be getting.
Well, I mean, we don't know. It may all go to, yeah, it may go back down, so we don't know. Okay, sure. Mr. Mayor.
Is this an exclusive right to have the fuel out there? improvement?
No, there's no exclusive rights on any FBO practices on the Air Center. If another one came in, we have to offer them the exact same thing.
My only thing is you sure get a lot of people complaining about the price of aviation fuel here compared to Artesia. I mean, I don't know.
But Artesia has a self-service fueling that we don't have. The one thing that is important in their lease is that they're required to have a maintenance operation to support not only general aviation, but commercial that come in here, and sometimes that's lacking.
Sure. My understanding is that they are contracted with Mobile A&P right now.
Yeah, around that way.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Hitchcock, would you like to make your motion again?
I made my motion already,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
All right. Do I hear a second to Mr. Hitchcock's motion?
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, we're now down to item number 23.
This is for Ascent Aviation lease for, they have been on the AOA land parcel for a year. They've asked to go for another year for storage of their ground servicing equipment. So it's a consideration of recommending Ascent Aviation Services to enter the lease for the same parcel of land of 9,500 square feet, more or less, for the same purpose of ground service equipment storage located at the Roswell Air Center. The lease term will be good for 1 year, starting March 1st, 2023 and ending February 28th, 2024. The tenant agrees to pay the landlord as rent the sum of $2,375.00, payable in 12 monthly installments of $197.92, making that AOA parcel with ramp access at 25 cents per square foot, consistent with where we are renting space at this time.
Questions or comments to Jen on item number 23? Mr. Spiritu.
Mr. Chairman, is 25 cents the right amount for, since it's not a building, it's just a land? Are we consistent in that regard?
It's on the ramp. This is in
So it's
AOA.
all 25 cents for on the ramp, regardless of the building or not? Am I wrong? Is it just a piece of
It's concrete.
concrete?
Next to the state, the SRE.
So what are we charging the MROs for those pads? The same amount that we charge for 25 cents a foot?
The difference, 25 cents per airspace.
I just want to make sure it's consistent.
Yes.
I just want to make sure it's consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the only one that's grossly inconsistent was done in the 1980s, 3 cents a square foot. For Millennium Bus. But, that was 1980s, so.
Okay, so everyone's on the same playing field.
Pretty
My
much,
question
yeah.
is,
Yeah, 25 cents.
Kazoo, Airsail, Ascent,
Cabins.
they're all paying the same amount.
They don't have actual ramp.
Yeah.
They are out in the dismantle area, and the dismantle area, as of right now, with negotiations that we've been working on, are based on the quality of the dirt they're on. That is not the same as being on the main ramp space.
Any other questions on item number 23? Questions or comments? Chair will entertain a motion to approve item number 23.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Espiritu Hitchcock. All those in favor signify so by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 24.
So this is for the BLM. We talked a little bit about this in the updates, and so
Can we
here's.
update the screen, please?
Oops, sorry. Commissioner Espiritu, this will be my exception to the rule, since this is 10 cents per square foot, but they are public service. And so that is why they're offering not 25 cents a square foot. But they are coming up from 2 or 3 cents a square foot to the 10 cents a square foot. This is the same parcel of land that they have had, they're just asking to re-engage the same property with a 25-year lease at 10 cents per square foot. So they have enough time return on investment on the development or the improvements that they're going to put onto the property. So they're looking to pay, and I think I did fix that. I found a boo-boo on that one too today. So the tenant agrees to pay the landlord as a rent sum of $11,799.99. That is, I'm not sure which one of those is the correct language. Let me do my math, because I saw that today. And I thought I corrected both, but I think I only corrected one.
Your square footage on the second.
It's $11,766.60, payable in 12 monthly installments of $980.55, making it 10 cents per square foot. This is for their seat base. Again, this is just the very beginnings of the operation for them to start looking at the scope of work. They have a limited amount of money, so if we can't make things fit in the parameters, with Armstrong and with engineering and the BLM, this becomes a good point. The ground lease will not be effective. It'll just go back to whatever it was before, because we have financial parameters. They only have a certain amount of funds, unless the city decides that they want to be part of that and pitch in the difference. But at this point, we don't even have those numbers run. We don't have any understanding of whether we're going to meet that parameter. So if you'll look at your exhibits, Exhibit B, which is page 9 of 19 on the BLM lease, it states the BLM has budgeted a maximum total amount of $300,000 to include design fee, construction permits, airport impact fees, etc., for the project of to add their additional slurry. And then Exhibit C is 14 of 19. That one is for the metal building or the shop that they're wanting to put in, and they have only allocated a maximum amount of $350,000.
So the 350 does not include the installation of the shop?
Well, if you'll turn to 19 of 19, it will tell you what your associated costs are. So it will go through design. Exhibit A and B is design. Exhibit A has construction services, and the scope of work is listed in each one of the exhibits as well. I don't know how much you guys have been brought into this yet, if much. I think we've had just preliminary meetings, is that correct? That's correct. So for us to even go to the design phase, they have to have the ground lease in place to even talk about it.
And the ground lease is being brought back up to current parameters.
Yes.
Okay.
Be able to get a new price they want, as far as, there's no issue there, so. Did Josh review this?
No, I just got this.
Okay,
This
yeah.
is one of them that I was waiting on to come in. I just didn't want it to be too delayed. I don't have a problem if you guys want to take it off and we come back to it. But it will delay any progress on this whatsoever.
If we refer it to legal.
Yep, they're gonna have to
goes
see it,
to
that's
legal.
right, they're gonna, you have to see it.
Yeah,
It goes
I'll
to the
read it
next
one way or the
level
other.
anyway. They did go ahead and put, they agreed to do a 3% increase, fixed over the years of the lease as well.
That's a 25-year lease? Wow. And it's just a plain old, no CPI, 3% per annum lease increase for 25 years.
Yeah, government contracts generally will make you put a fixed, they're not gonna go
Yeah,
with a variable, that's what happened
And
with.
that's standard, yeah,
the state
they just
department.
want it separate.
That's 25 years of 3% is, of course, who knows what inflation is gonna be, I don't know. That's a pretty good chunk of money. Not very close to 10 cents a square foot anymore.
Of course, what do they use every 3 months out of the year?
Yeah. And that 10 cents a square foot is pretty consistent with what we're charging for current.
Right.
So that is what we're charging for.
Okay. All right, any other questions or comments to Jenna? The chair will entertain a motion to approve item number 24 as presented, recognizing that it will still go through legal before it goes to the city council. Through legal.
Legal, see, been entertaining that.
We appreciate you being here. Thank you. Well, some people do.
Coming from you, Mr. Chairman, that's a good omen.
Thank you. Thank you. So we'll go back to the chair entertaining a motion to approve item number 24.
So moved.
Second, Mr. Spiritu.
Dr. Powell still with us?
He is. He's still on there.
I don't know, he didn't vote on the last one.
Oh, he
so,
didn't?
No.
Okay, I thought he still voted on the last one.
There
Well, we've got
was-
three of us. All those in favor of item?
Second, yes, I second.
Yes, you did. All those in favor of item number 24 signify so by saying aye.
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 There he goes. He's still on
Look
there.
there. Maybe you should hear it.
Motion is approved 4-0.
Maybe you would want to second something.
Yeah.
Okay, we're moving. Item number 25.
Okay, this is to consider recommending Apex Aerospace to enter a lease for bunkers 1130, 1131, 1137, and 1144. All of these have been on an interim lease since October. They were just for 6 months. They would like to go ahead and secure them for a year. I don't have a whole lot of people knocking on my door for a bunker rental. The tenant agrees to pay the landlord as the rent the sum of $15,210.00, payable in 12-month installments of $1,267.50, consisting with all of the bunker rates right now at $2.25 a square foot.
And that's per bunker or for all 4 bunkers?
That is for all 4 bunkers.
Okay.
Bill, the lease that's here has a different one.
Yeah.
877.50.
Yeah.
Did she read something different? So which is?
Those are correct. What are you saying that is not correct? Oh, I have the 10,500.
Yeah, 10,500.
Okay.
Leases.
The lease is incorrect.
So just, what was the monthly again?
The monthly is $1,267.50.
Okay, I must be missing something. If
Let
the
me
total,
get my breakdown. I have it broken out.
no, it was
This
not.
was.
She explained that. In her.
I didn't follow it.
Yeah, she had 2 or 3 tenants coming in she didn't get this put together till today, John. Sorry.
So would it be possible for Lisa, once you correct these, to
Send you a new
email
copy.
this?
Yes, you bet.
I will have to scan those.
You bet. 1130 is $292.50 a month. 1131 is $292.50 a month. 1137 is $292.50 a month. So those 3 numbers together should give, in the lease, the initial.
1267.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jenna, before we go any further, I need to understand. If you take the total of 15,210 divided by 225 square foot, that gives you 6,760 square feet. And we're talking 4 bunkers. Is that all the bigger those 4 bunkers are? Is 67?
3 of them are 1,560 square feet.
Okay. I would have thought they were significantly larger than that.
The 1144 must be significant.
And it is 2,080 square feet.
And so those bunker rounded mounds of dirt, are they not?
With concrete.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that the floor area? Is that where the square footage comes from?
Yes. The inside of the floor.
Inside of the floor area?
Yes, yes.
Nothing outside the bunker itself, and land.
No.
Condition of those bunkers here, just curiosity, I've never seen.
They're in good shape. Actually, all of these are ATF certified. Yes. I don't know if that's, if they, what the requirement is, probably annual.
Next one's they store stainless stuff.
Okay, so do we have our numbers correct now?
I'm running the,
Okay.
so if I'm running the 1560 times 3 plus the 2080, that's giving me 4,680 square feet. Is that accurate?
I didn't.
Okay. No, that's just, yes. So it's 6,240 square feet total. So 14,040 annual will be the rent for all of the bunkers. That encompasses all of them.
You said 14,040?
14,040.
Okay. So the 15,210 goes away. Then you divide the 14,040 by 12, correct?
$1,170.
1170 instead of 1267. Okay. Well, I'm glad we asked the question on that.
Yes, I'm glad you asked the question too.
Okay. So the verbiage written out in 15,210, that's going to be changed also.
Yes.
Not just the numbers.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Are you reasonably comfortable that we've done to this what we need to?
Correct. The numbers, yes.
Has AVEX seen this yet?
They asked for it, yes. Based on the same
They know the
numbers that
right
they're already
numbers.
paying, yes. Yeah.
So AVEX is going to get
They'll get
notice
this.
of lower numbers than what you've talked to them about.
No, they have not gotten the lease copy yet. I wrote
Okay.
those to you all first for you to vet me and get me squared away. Because
Okay.
apparently this month has not been grand. So I will send this out to them with the corrections.
A calculator with a tape may be of assistance.
I have calculators.
With a
It's
tape.
the amount of time
Okay.
that I don't have usually.
All right. Okay, I think we've got it then, and it's at 2.25 square foot is what it works out to.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is the correct amount that was on there. So that's good. The chair will entertain a motion to approve item number 25.
So moved.
Spiritu moved, Hitchcock second.
I was hoping Sean was.
Sean's
giving
Sean-
him the opportunity.
Go away.
Okay. Sean seconded.
Okay.
All those in favor signify so by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries with a vote of 4-0. Okay, item number 26, Bravo 3 Holdings.
Now you're gonna make me do my math again.
Hello? I think I lost you.
Hi, I'm here. I think we lost them.
Yeah, is that Sean still?
This is Sean still.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think we lost them. Let's see how many more. Just a couple more agenda items.
I forgot to ask, who are you? Who am I talking to?
Sure, I'm Sean Powell. I'm one of the commissioners on the.
Yes,
on the
you're
meeting.
the other Sean. You spell our names the same. You're in charge of the Eastern New Mexico University?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we've met at City Hall when you first brought the idea of the experimental aircraft to the commission.
Yes, okay. Did we get back on just now, or maybe someone else dropped off?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't.
Oh, well,
Well,
I think we were near the bottom sort of the list.
Yeah, there's two more items. Yeah, storage container for small arms, construction mining fuse blasting caps, and aerospace design. Increased rent. Holy smokes. That number 27 is pretty big. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that is a huge
Hello?
jump.
Well, I
I'm
guess
here.
they're increasing square footage, right? I'm looking at the second line. Yeah.
Yeah.
250 to 1544. So that makes sense.
You get 2 weeks, Jenna.
Well,
We're
I think we're back in.
Back in. We're back.
So this is the same.
Can you just check the cord to make sure, because it said it
Yes.
died.
Finish number 25 is my question.
Yes.
We're on to 26.
Okay.
All right.
Is John Hitchcock second or move number 25?
No, Mike made the motion, sir.
And you seconded. We took your grunt as a second.
I see. Well, we appreciate that. I noticed that. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So thank you. Item number 26, any questions or comments to Jenna?
No, 25, 26, I don't know if they heard the presentation. Is that right? Were they gone for 26?
So I asked, are there any questions? So, Mr. Powell, do you have any questions of Jenna on item 26?
No, but I think John Hitchcock should move this, or Mike Espirito should second it.
Well,
Mike's
Mike's recused himself, so
I will so move.
So Mr. Hitchcock has moved to accept item 26, and I would hear a second from the Sean Powell camp.
I'm just looking at construction mining fuse blasting caps.
You don't really want to know what's in all these things, Sean.
Hey, just curious. Yeah. Okay, I'll second it. I'll second it with reservations. There you go.
With dirt. I don't think you have any liability. All right, motion has been made and seconded by Hitchcock and Powell. There are three of us to vote. All in favor signify so by saying aye. Aye. Mr. Powell, did you vote in the affirmative?
I did.
Thank you. All those not in favor? Hearing none, motion carries 3-0 with Mr. Espiritu recused.
Mr. Chairman, for Commissioner Powell's information, Bravo 3 Holdings is also certified and licensed by ATF. So just make you aware of that. So.
Okay. Thank you.
For fun.
Okay, we're through item 26. Let's go to item number 27, and we had I know we had a correction to that there's no May 32nd. So Jenna, if you'd go through that item, please.
Okay, so, Aero Designs is currently in building 1000. They've asked to amend their current lease agreement dated May 12th, 2022, to increase square footage from 240 to 1,544 of the premises for additional office space. On your exhibit, you can see they are taking in the northeast front room, consisting of 800 square feet more or less, and the southeast back room consisting of 504 square feet. So that then they are also asking then for the change in the paragraph 3 of the rent to increase the sum of rent from $2,880 per year to $18,528 payable in 12 monthly installments of $1,544. On the exhibits, they are currently housed in this back room. They are taking this room and this room as well to expand their one office space in the back, and they're using this front space for some of their supplies.
They have the space between.
They do not. They do not.
That's all.
This is common, and these are available. But they're anticipating expanding in that area. So they took these 2 rooms as a more designated area for them, but they do have that anticipation. This other wing has bathrooms, and then Mr. Espiritu, this is the area that is not currently remodeled. This is the section that would require some remodeling that we have that money set aside for. This also, they asked that we just change their terms so that they're not expiring this May, that we go ahead and go forward and allow them to start their year from here with this amendment. Aero Designs, right now, currently, they're out here doing a lot of composite work for American Airlines that had hail damage. So they're doing some engineering.
Start with 8 airplanes, you know, they already appeared over 100, so.
Can they get onto a flight line through their building?
They have a walk-through gate only. They do not have complete access. So that would require us doing a lot of changing for TSA. And possibly.
So they can't get.
They can use the gate that is next to them, or they can walk through. There's a pass-through gate onto the AOA. That I know that's one of the buildings that they're looking at, either removing that pass-through gate or making the building access control.
So they're batched.
They're all batched.
Yeah, I can think on this stuff,
Any other questions of Jenna on item number 27?
Is $12 the right price?
Yes.
Lease?
Yeah, they pay $12 per square foot. It does include maintenance for them, so electrical, HVAC, plumbing, all of that is the city's burden with this lease.
That's why it's $12.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I asked. Motion to approve.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second for Mr. Powell. All those in favor signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Okay, Jenna, do you have any other leases we need to consider?
No.
Okay, one comment and then we'll go into executive session here. I want to again publicly thank the staff out here, especially Jenna, although Jennifer was certainly in on it, for the city redeeming itself in reference to the drag strip. That will finally, hopefully, reach conclusion Thursday evening. That's been a 2-year process, and quite honestly, just going to market data as opposed to made-up data allowed everybody to move forward. So, again, publicly, I want to thank Jenna and the rest of the staff out here. That was a long slog to get that all done.
Yeah.
Okay, Lisa, I need you to remind me of the proper verbiage to go into executive session.
Before we do,
Oh,
one question for the future.
Yes.
Can you tell us how many jets that aren't under one of the other MROs out on the field have not paid their rent?
Is there parking fees?
Yeah, you know, discussion came up, you know, how many planes have been abandoned out here that we haven't done anything about? And because poor Judge Alvin Jones made a career out of trying to find out where they were foreign registered, and it's a nightmare. And it costs a lot of money to get them to open up their books to tell you we're serving them. But so, you know, we thought, surely there's some planes out there
that aren't paying.
Do y'all keep up with that? Or?
Well, we do. As far as I know, there are, most of them are under an MRO. I think we have one that I would say is in question, that we've been battling with for a little bit of time to try to get them either to get under their own operating agreement with us or get housed under.
If you have someone that drives out here to the east side, get them to take an inventory and match it up with what the MROs are paying.
Yeah.
See what falls out.
Well, I know we had talked about doing that. That's pretty labor intensive. They move those planes all the time as well. So that's the harder thing, is they're moving the cheese all the time out there.
What if the MROs red tagged their property? And if you identified that there wasn't a red tag property out there, then you pursue that.
Actually,
it would work off of the honor system with the MROs.
Well,
you know.
So, Mr. Chairman, I've been to the Miranda Center, and each of the MROs have their own parking areas.
Okay, we don't have that here.
We don't have that, but that's something that we need to consider doing at some point, because, I mean, if you go to that Miranda Center, and it's smaller than here, granted, but it looks well organized.
Right.
Come out here, everything's nailed, you know, everything here is kind of haphazard. And I'm not trying to be critical, I'm just saying that maybe that's something we can consider doing at some point when we have nothing else to do with our time, whatever that means, but that way, because we will never be able to control this.
So you're correct, that's a good point. However, to go to Mr. Hitchcock's point, I would suggest that the staff consider the problem.
We have.
And get with the MROs and say, how can we accomplish this without being any burden to you guys? And if that's them identifying which aircraft are theirs, and they put a red tag on the end of the tail or something, then whoever doesn't have a red tag, you can check that one.
Or at the end of every month, have them send a list.
They do.
By in number, registration number?
Yes.
But a visual something would make it simpler for your staff to identify that.
So there are often, they're housed under the MRO but owned by somebody else.
True.
So the MRO is reporting that they have it, but if we were to look up their N numbers, it could be owned by, multiple people.
But the MRO is paying for it, supposedly.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
That's why they need something to check against.
Yeah, so it may
I'm
be,
sure they're all honest.
it may not be a huge deal, but it's an interesting question.
It is, and I assume you saw in the paper that Elvis's
Plane is released.
leaving, and
In
it will be.
pieces,
leaving this
in
fall.
pieces.
On track.
Okay,
Well, we know that's not flying out.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, we are to the point of going into executive session, and somebody's got to remind me of the verbiage we need to use to do that.
The chair would entertain a motion to move into closed session pursuant to NMSA
10-15-1H.
Okay, I can only remember so much.
Oh, that's
The
what
chair-
I'm saying for you.
Yeah, the chair.
So 10-1-1H to discuss leases, contracts, and litigation pursuant to the Open Meetings Act inception.
So do I hear a motion to that effect? Mr. Hitchcock moved, second. All those in favor signify so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. We're in.
This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you, Sean. All right, appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean.
Magic verbiage.
All right, speaking on behalf of the chair, he would entertain a motion to come out of executive session pursuant to 10-15-1H.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, we've got three. All those in favor signify so by saying aye. Aye.
And as council, I'll attest.
Motion carries 3-0.
And council, I'll attest that we stuck to business under the Open Meetings Act.
Okay. All right. Is there anything further that we need to discuss right now? I think if y'all get together, and then Jenna, as far as future agenda items, Jenna and Jennifer. Jennifer, you can at least tell us what went on in your escapade uptown.
I can't, I had to sign an NDA.
Yes, non-disclosure until the bid.
So do we know how many bids there were?
We have,
That
we
you
have
can
one proposal, so I
One. Okay, so we didn't get many. All right,
Sorry.
understand.
we just need to set a meeting and let,
You need a,
Just-
you need a group.
I need a group and let her know. I have some of the NDAs that we can sign, and once I get them back to her, she'll email you your,
Okay.
your packet.
Any further comments, questions, suggestions, complaints that need to come to the attention of this meeting?
I feel like these should be shorter and funnier.
I think I've tried to put some levity into this, and if Mr. Korn continues to come, we can have some levity with that. But this, if you'll look at what we accomplished today, how many things we got through, we're darn good. It's just too long.
I do have some comments, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
You may.
I'll be briefer than Councilor Ford. Last week I was at the Air Service Conference. I met with American Airlines, United, Allegiant, SkyWest, Alaska, and Breeze. And Avalon, I didn't have an appointment with them, but they reached out to me, so I'm gonna give them a call this week. The discussion centered around other flights to other locations, specifically Denver and Las Vegas. The United, they pretty much all said, sounds good, but probably not this time because the pilot shortage is killing the airlines. So, one example was SkyWest, who's very interested and would be a good fit for Roswell. They expected to lose about 50 pilots every month, but they're losing about over 200 every month. But they can't keep up as they move to the larger aircraft. The smaller aircraft are just suffering. So the regional jets are getting those left, right? So there's a lot more on that pilot shortage thing. I don't want to take a lot of time on that, but the bottom line is that airfares are back up to pre-pandemic levels and higher, as high as 20% in the second quarter of last year.
That's just a cost.
Yeah, and it's because of fuel. They commented that they will probably continue to see fares relatively high, and don't have a way to get around that. So they're going to be short 9,400 pilots by 2024. that's a lot of pilots. So you can see what's happening is they're retiring and trying to move them up the chain through the regional jets into the big aircraft. Just the normal pathways for the military pretty much are non-existent anymore.
Now, you know, if you think about it, the military is trying to build aircraft that are pilot.
Yeah. So, and then the requirements for, you know, for first officers to become pilots with 1,000 hours is.
200 hours.
Yeah, well, now they're talking, the FAA is actually talking about using 1,000 hours, which is still, what, 2 years? So, we're gonna continue to see a pilot shortage for quite a while. So, anyway, that's all I have to report to the group. I'll wait for the chairman to get back. I would like to ask Mr. Chairman if maybe at our next meeting, Jennifer, can you tell us about the SCAFI grants, where we're at with ours, how much money we have left, and, you know, I know they're good for up to 5 years, right? I think ours was 2019, and kind of just where we're at with that. But I spoke with Mike Martin with DOT at the conference, and he says obviously there's gonna be more money, but you know, that's for our flight to Denver. So I think as a group we probably need to be split up on understanding where we're at that with dollars. You know, we could lose that money, so I don't want to lose any money, leave it on the table.
So it's SCASD grants?
Yeah. I'm probably saying it wrong, 'cause I never got, you know, you're right. Exactly right.
Okay, Mr. Spiritu, my kidney couldn't take it anymore. It had nothing to do with your spirit. I just couldn't do it. So, any comment?
If I could just add on to what Mike was talking about with the pilot shortage and things, that what we're finding in all our departments, and I think it's going to be really important as we're successful to get this $50-some million from the state this year for this airport, that trying to work within this new system. We've had air conditioners on order for 8 months. Guys, we may have the best plans in the world. We may have all the money to do that. We may not be able to physically take possession of things that we need to do those projects. So I think from a planning standpoint, we really got to put our heads together and plan those projects out, figure out what's really viable of getting done within timeframes, and what we may not be able to do because of supply chains. I mean, it's a legitimate, we're dealing with those issues. I'm shocked when I go to grocery stores and there's half an aisle is empty because there's nothing, you know, they're not having the drivers, they don't have the drivers. We cannot find CDL drivers. So we're trying to think outside the box. Just something to put on the table that as we're get successful with funding and stuff, really think how we're going to do these projects. It's just something else we're having to deal with.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Since we've got this group here, Sean's off. He had to go take a nap, but he's trying to find
Put that
somebody.
in the minutes.
I realized that this was extremely long. We haven't had a meeting this long under my tenure at all. But I'm hopeful that we made not just progress, we made a lot of progress. And I appreciate everyone's forbearance because I set the agenda for this and I knew it was long, but we just had a ton of stuff to make happen.
And you know, that reminds me, I had fully intended to be with Janie Davies last week, but I think she had COVID.
That's it, yes.
And now she has an ear infection, so bless her heart, she's struggling.
But I think your continued efforts in the financial arena to do that, we're working towards, just like today, we work towards what buildings we have out here that aren't rented and what do we have to do. So there's things that we can be proactive on that we're doing that we've never done before, at least in this format. Okay. Anything else from anybody? Everybody? I still got another meeting tonight. It starts at 7 o'clock.
Lucky you.
Yeah, long day.
You know, can we verify that our next meeting, sir?
7th?
Should be.
We want to have it the
Seven.
week,
Should be March
we
7th.
want to have it the same week as the city council meeting. City council meeting would be the 9th, so it'd have to go March 7th, 1:30. Thank you, Mr. Attorney. And then I've given some info to our assistant chair here, Mr. Spiritu. And I'm gonna be, we've already got plans. I'm gonna be gone during meeting times in June and July, just because that's the only time we can make things work. So at least in June and July, you won't have to put up with it. And it may be that we don't need to have a meeting, I don't know. We'll just look at it and see. We can make those determinations in May. So if Jennifer doesn't want to have a meeting, then, we're just done.
And then I'll consent.
I had a call Tuesday, so I'll be here.
So you will be here on the 7th. Okay. All right, if there's nothing else, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. So moved and seconded. All those in favor signify so by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries 3-0. Okay, thank you, staff.